Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing another ranking list of fantasy movies. This time movies from the 2000s to 2010, non-Disney fantasy movies. And as per the last video, I'll only be doing movies that I watched, and I'm not rewatching them for the purpose of this video. I'm going to be ranking them based on solely on my memory of them, and then at a later date I'll make sure to rewatch all these movies and then give them a different ranking with a new set of eyes. Obviously some of these movies I've definitely watched more recently, more than likely because I like them more. But yeah, so without further ado, 2000 to 2010 non-Disney fantasy movies ranked. And so there's a total of about 18 movies in this list. So yes, hopefully this video won't be too long. But yeah, let's get on with it. Okay, so we are going to be starting from the bottom of my list, and this is not necessarily to say that the bottom means that the movie was very bad. It's just at the bottom of my list. However, some of these, my thoughts do reflect the fact that they're at the bottom of the list. So number 18 on this list is The Golden Compass, which is a fantasy adventure movie. And I remember watching this movie when it first came out. I think it was on like pay-per-view or something like that. And I watched it with my family. And I honestly don't remember too much about this movie. I feel like it was kind of like if I remember correctly, maybe this is a different movie, but I feel like it was kind of like the opposite of what the Chronicles of Narnia is supposed to be. But that being said, I don't remember not liking this movie. I remember being kind of bored to death watching this movie, and thus that's the reason that it's at the bottom of the list at number 18, because I don't really remember it, and what I do remember of it is being very bored. And so this is at number 18. I'm curious to know if this will move up anywhere in this list when I rewatch it. We shall see. Number 17 is Nanny McPhee, a period fantasy comedy. Now, this is one of those movies that I used to see come on all the time on ABC Family. And I remember always skipping over this movie or like just leaving it on the channel. It would play in the background. I was never too interested in this movie. I do remember watching it maybe one time, or at least that's the most I paid attention to it. And I recall not too much being a fan of it, not caring for it too much. I know that it was about, I believe, was it about a nanny who had superpowers, or was that something else? I am not sure. But I do remember not being too much intrigued by this movie. And so number 17, there you go. Number 16, Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat, a children's fantasy movie. This one is a movie that I used to watch all the time in elementary school. It's kind of like from my previous video, I mentioned, what was that movie again? I can't remember it right now, but I'll put it right here when I do. And that movie was a movie I used to watch all the time in elementary school as well. And this is one they used to put on for us as kids, Dr. Seuss, The Cat in the Hat. And I do remember really liking this movie, enjoying this movie as a child. I remember it being quite funny, to me at least. And I do remember maybe watching it one more time on ABC Family when it came on. And I remember still liking it. Obviously I was older, so maybe I didn't find it as funny or whatever. I think they're actually remaking this movie. And it did look pretty funny to me when I saw the trailer. And so I really do want to rewatch it. But yeah, and I do remember enjoying this movie. However, I will say that there are parts of the movie that I recall being a little bit slow or draggy or kind of boring. And that's why it's at number 16. I don't think it's on the level to me that The Golden Compass and Nanny McPhee are. However, there are movies in this list that I just like better and enjoy more than The Cat in the Hat. So unfortunately, it falls at number 16. Yeah. Number 15 on this list is Night at the Museum, a fantasy comedy. Obviously, if I remember correctly, this is a movie where the security guard is at the museum and all the animals and whatever statues in the museum comes to life during this movie. I think I watched this movie twice. It could have been more. I think this is also one of the movies that maybe they used to put on for us. I don't think elementary school, but maybe they used to play it for us in middle school. I remember watching it at school. And I remember watching it once at home. And I remember not really having a problem with it. I like the storyline. I feel like movies like this is always gonna be funny. They're family movies. They're family friendly. Interestingly enough, although I'm not saying as much about it as The Cat in the Hat, and it might seem like maybe I like The Cat in the Hat more, I do feel like Night at the Museum is a movie that I'd probably choose to watch over The Cat in the Hat, at least, the one that from the 2000s. I'm curious to see what I think about this one because I feel like this Cat in the Hat might go over Night in the Museum. But yeah, Night at the Museum, I really don't have too much to say about it, but it's at number 15. Number 14 is Dr. Dolittle 2, which is classified as a fantasy comedy with Eddie Murphy, talking animals. He can talk to animals, and I believe now his daughter that he has can also talk to animals. I believe it was Kyla Pratt. And I think Raven-Symoné plays her older sister, I think, in this movie as well. Dr. Dolittle, the first one, was in 1998. I didn't include that in the first my video prior to this just because it didn't pop up and I didn't remember it. But it probably would have been on the middle of the list or somewhere in between there. But as for Dr. Dolittle 2, I do remember actually enjoying this one more than the first Dr. Dolittle. And I think maybe that's because there was a little girl in the movie. Again, I'm not really too fond of talking animals like that. I feel like Night in the Museum was a bit different. But I do think that the appeal for me as a child was seeing like a young girl, a young Kyla Pratt in there. And I'm a fan of Kyla Pratt. So yeah, again, not too much to say, but here we are at number 14 with Dr. Dolittle 2. Coming in at number 13 is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp. And honestly, when I was making this list, I was like, oh, this is going to be at the bottom somewhere. But honestly, it ends up at number 13 just because of the movies that I disliked more than that and the movies that I liked way more than this. I am not a fan of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. To be honest with you, I'm not too much a fan of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate, whatever, Willy Wonka. I'm not a fan of the original movie. And I feel like that's just because honestly, the Oompa Loompas kind of creep me out. And to this day, they still kind of creep me out. And it's just like a weird movie. Interestingly, I think the Willy Wonka movie tells more of Charlie's story, and the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie tells more of Willy Wonka's story. And I think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is more canon or follows the storyline of the book by Roald Dahl. I think it's Roald Dahl. I could be wrong. It follows the storyline of the book more than Willy Wonka. Like I said, I like Willy Wonka more. Still not too much of a fan. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I love Johnny Depp, but I don't know. I've just never really been a fan of this movie series or whatever you want to call it. And also I just think it's a bit worse than the first movie. That's my opinion. I know other people probably love this movie more than the original. But yeah, just thinking about it right now kind of gives me the creeps. So I'm going to move on. At number 12, we have 17 again, a fantasy comedy. The number 17 again, not the word. And I say that because there's another movie of this same name with the word on this list. And maybe I'm just being a little bit biased or, a little, because I have a problem with this being like not a remake, but kind of a copy of an idea of a movie that's higher on this list that I really love and hold dear to my heart. And I feel like it's not acknowledged enough that movie came first. And it's a bit annoying, but this movie, 17 again, stars Zac Efron. I think I maybe saw it once and maybe watched a recap of it another time. Maybe I saw it twice. Nothing in general is wrong with the movie. I think it does have an interesting storyline, but again, it's not similar, but there are some aspects of it that kind of mimic the original movie in a way. But yeah, like, I think nothing is wrong with the movie in particular. There are also some weird kind of stuff going on in this movie with like the dad, his daughter, and all of that stuff. But yeah, like we won't get into it if you haven't seen the movie. And if you have, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, 17 again with Zac Efron, this fantasy comedy movie is at number 12. And I'm sorry, I cannot put it any higher than this. And it's only at number 12 because there was movies worse than that. So at numbers 11 and 10, we have 11 Shrek 2 and 10 Shrek. I don't run to go see Shrek. I think it is a funny movie, but I don't know. I guess like the type of animation it is just not my style. And I find Eddie Murphy funny. Donkey is the funniest thing in the movie, don't get me wrong. But I've never really cared for Shrek. And it could be also one of those things that's just a fate, because I watched it so much, like as a kid. I think in middle school they would put it on. And then like at, working with kids, this is a movie that is always watched. And maybe I'm just tired of it. But yes, Shrek, it's a good movie. I think this is high enough on the list. I enjoy it. I just don't run to see it. Like if you put it on and I'm watching it with somebody else because they want to watch it, I probably would enjoy it. I'd probably try to talk them out of watching it though. But yeah, those are my feelings on Shrek and Shrek 2 at numbers 11 and 10. Now, at number 9, we have Journey to the Center of the Earth. I believe this stars The Rock and Josh Hutcherson. Josh Hutcherson from Bridge to Terabithia, Josh Hutcherson from The Hunger Games. I love Josh Hutcherson. I think he's a great actor. And I feel like he's not really in enough. Like he's in a lot. But I feel like I don't really hear about him enough, if that makes any sense. I do enjoy this movie. Just because it's one of those like, I want to say it's not prehistoric, but it's like one of those like otherworldly movies where it's like, okay, here's our world, and then here's these like strange creatures or strange things that's also in our world. I tend to like movies that are like that. I don't remember it being like such an amazing movie. I maybe saw it twice. This is definitely one of the movies I've seen on pay-per-view with my family. I remember that. Or maybe bootleg on like the computer. I don't remember. But I do remember enjoying this movie again. I don't feel like it's an amazing movie, but it's one of those movies that I guess for me personally is a bit of nostalgia, and that's probably why it's at number 9. Oh, and that was a sci-fi fantasy adventure. At number 8, we have The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, a romantic fantasy drama. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button is pretty much about a man who is born old, looking old, and then like as he gets older, he gets younger, or he looks younger. And this movie, I think I watched it twice. This movie, I think the story is very interesting. And what I'm about to say might have you questioning why it's at number 9 or number 8, right? But the reason it's here is because I feel like the story is very interesting. And I feel like if you have the time and if you make yourself like get into the movie, you'll be able to get into it. It's a very slow burn, I guess, from the beginning of the movie, but I feel like everything about this movie is super interesting. He meets I guess the love of his life at a certain point in time in his life, and then it's like, remember, he's getting younger, she's getting older, so there's that kind of circumstance that's happening in the movie, and just a whole lot of other stuff that's going on that I find very interesting. If you're not into slow burns or slow moving movies, I don't think this movie would be for you. But I do find the plot very intriguing, and I actually really want to watch it again. So yeah, that's where The Curious Case of Benjamin Button has landed. At number 7, we have Bruce Almighty, a fantasy comedy. And I know there's another movie that was made after this called Evan Almighty. I don't remember it too much, but Bruce Almighty has Jim Carrey. I find this movie hilarious. I haven't watched it in years, but I remember my sister and I used to watch this movie all the time on ABC Family, and we used to crack up. Funny enough, I don't remember exactly the plot line of it, but I do remember really loving it, and it's kind of one of those light-hearted, nostalgic movies for me, and so that's why it's at this number on this list. And truth be told, maybe it isn't the best movie out of all the other movies on here, but for me, that's where it lands because I really like this movie a lot, and I hold it to near and dear to my heart. It's something that I always used to watch and laugh about, and I'm not too much a fan of like a lot of comedies, so the fact that I like this movie says a lot about it. Number 6, we have 300, a historical fantasy. I watched this movie once, and while I feel like I wanted more towards the end of it, I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed I am a fan of historical dramas, whether real or fantasy. That's like kind of my thing. And so 300, really and truthfully, it had to end up in the top 10. It's just outside of the top 5. But that's only because there's movies that I really love that's right before it. But that's not to say that this is below those at all. I really enjoyed 300 a lot. I know there's a movie that comes after it. I haven't watched it because I'm scared it might be terrible. But we shall see. I'll watch it in time. But yes, 300, definitely at number 6. Also, fun fact, I only just watched this movie last year. I had not seen it before at all, and I know it was a really popular movie when it came out. So yeah. Number 5 is similar to another movie on this list, and that's The Illusionist, and it's a period fantasy drama, and it's about a magician, pretty much. I remember... So the reason it's not higher on this list is because I remember really enjoying this movie the first 2 times I saw it. But then I tried to watch it again recently, and I found it to be a little bit boring. But it does pick up a little bit. And this is a very interesting movie. I think you should definitely watch this if you're into like magician, historical type fantasy stuff. Like I said, that's my jam. So yeah, I recommend The Illusionist for sure. And The Illusionist is at number 5. Number 4 on my list is a movie that I don't recommend watching every year or very often, but it's a very good movie. And that's The Lovely Bones, which is a supernatural fantasy. And if you've ever watched The Lovely Bones, you know why I say what I say about this movie. It's kind of a little bit depressing. The ending is a little bit dissatisfying, unsatisfying to say the least. It's kind of sad. It's a sad movie, but it's a really good movie. But for the reasons I mentioned, I recommend watching this movie once every 5 years or so. You need that much time to get it out of your system. But yeah, The Lovely Bones is a really good movie. I couldn't put it lower than this just because of what I said. It is really good. I do recommend watching it, but be forewarned. Make sure you read the information. If you actually want to read, like watch people recap it and talk about it, even if it's a spoiler, just so you know what you're getting yourself into, I recommend that. But yeah, number 3 is the movie that I was comparing to Number 17 Again with Zac Efron. And this is 17 Again, the word 17, with starring Tia and Tamera Mowry. I absolutely adore Tia and Tamera Mowry. And this is pretty much where Tia plays the granddaughter of Tamera, and Tamera is married to a man, or is divorced from Tia's grandfather, Gene, and they take this potion or something that Tia's brother, Taj plays the younger brother in this movie, which is their younger brother in real life, and they think they take a potion or something is in the soap, and Tamera's character and her husband, they pretty much become 17 again, and then they go to school with Tia, and all hijinks and stuff ensues. And yeah, I really love this movie. I haven't seen it in a while, but whenever I see it, I definitely watch it. I love this movie, and it really annoys me that the other 17 Again is way more known than this 17 Again. I just feel like this 17 Again is a better movie, or maybe I could be biased. I could just be saying that just because I love Tia and Tamera Mowry. And also maybe because of nostalgia. I love them from Sister Sister. Maybe I'm just prone to love this movie more. It doesn't matter to me if you like the other movie more, but for me, this one is up there. So yes, number 3, 17 Again, starring Tia and Tamera Mowry. Number 2 is a fantasy adventure starring Josh Hutcherson, a young Josh Hutcherson, Bridge to Terabithia. And this is a book to movie, as some of the other ones on this list probably are. Bridge to Terabithia, I learned, was actually made quite a few times as a show, as a movie, like I think multiple movies as well, and it just never hit until they finally made this movie. This Bridge to Terabithia, I think, is a great coming of age movie, and it's also great to watch with the family. It's a little bit sad, but it's also lighthearted, and it's a fun movie to watch, and also very touching. I think it's a great movie to watch with family, or even like young kids. I'd say like older elementary age to middle school, just because, you know, it teaches you about grief and also friendship, you know. And I think that this is one of those movies that I feel like is a great movie to watch for those reasons. And this is a movie that like I've rewatched multiple times. It's not as depressing as The Lovely Bones, so I could definitely rewatch it. But yeah, like I enjoy this movie every single time I've watched it. I can't count on my 10 fingers how many times I've watched this movie. It says how much I love it. So yeah, Bridge to Terabithia, starring Josh Hutcherson, is at number 2. And finally, at number 1, we have The Prestige, which is a period fantasy thriller similar to The Illusionist. The Prestige and The Illusionist are both focused on magic and magicians. However, The Prestige, it has little twists and turns to it that make it super interesting. This stars one of my favorite actors, Hugh Jackman, and there's another famous actor in there. I forget what his name is. I'll put it down here. I can't believe I can't remember his name. Great actor. But I can't say anything much about this movie without spoiling it, so I won't. I just say, please go and watch this movie. It's a great movie. I rewatched it after years of not watching it because I feel like it's that type of movie where it's like you want to not watch it just so you could have that same thrill when you watch it again. I haven't watched it as much as Bridge to Terabithia, but like I said, there's a reason for that. I'll recommend this movie to anyone I come across. I love The Prestige. It's such a good movie. Such a good movie. And I don't think that they've made a movie that was similar to this. But yeah, The Prestige is definitely #1 for me on this list. Again, starring my favorite actor, one of my favorite actors, Hugh Jackman. And so yeah, that is my ranking of movies, fantasy movies that are not Disney movies, from numbers 1 to 18. Yep, that's my ranking here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think about my ranking down below. Tell me what you would have ranked this movies and recommend any other fantasy movies to me down in the comments below. I would love to watch them. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to my channels to support me. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.